One stood on a hillside in Gaul and watched a million human beings die for his ambition. The other stood on a beach in Gaul and ordered his army to gather seashells as spoils of war. Both wore the laurel of Rome. Both walked the marble floors of the same palace. Both fell with blades in their bodies. Both already won their first matchups in this series. Both now face elimination. Only one of them moves on. Tonight, Gaius, Julius Caesar, and Caligula. The political wildcard begins. Rome against Rome. In episode 19, Julius Caesar defeated Attila the Hun by a continent, advancing on the strength of his million civilian body count in Gaul and the empire his death created. In episode 8, Caligula defeated Nero by a hair, advancing because his pure unpredictability would have done more damage given more time. Tonight, the founder of the Western world against the emperor who held conversations with the moon. One of them is going home. Welcome back to Evil vs. Evil, Monsters of History. This is the wildcard round. This is episode 23. Born in the Subura district of Rome, in the year 100 before the Common Era, Gaius Julius Caesar entered the world the son of an old but politically minor patrician family that claimed descent from the goddess Venus. The Julii had pedigree, but no recent power. His father was a praetor who collapsed and died one morning while bending down to put on his sandals. 16-year-old Caesar inherited the duty of running the household. He came of age inside a Rome that was tearing itself apart. The dictator Sulla had recently massacred his political enemies. Caesar, as the nephew of Sulla's old rival Marius, was on the proscription list by the age of 19. He fled the city. He spent his early adulthood in Asia Minor, soldiering, learning Greek, building political contacts, and famously being captured by Cilician pirates. He told the pirates, as they held him for ransom, that he would return after his release and crucify them all. They laughed. He raised Andre after his release, hunted them down, and crucified them all. He was 25 years old. He climbed the Roman political ladder, one office at a time. Quaestor, aedile, praetor, consul in 59 before the Common Era at the legal minimum age of 40. He formed the first triumvirate with Pompey and Crassus, the three richest and most powerful men in the Republic. They divided the Roman world between them. Crassus took the Middle East. Pompey took Spain. And in 58 before the Common Era, Caesar took the proconsulship of Gaul, the most violent posting in the Roman world. What followed was the Gallic Wars, the most ruthlessly efficient war of conquest in classical antiquity. Over 8 years, Caesar's legions subdued every Celtic tribe in modern France, Belgium, Switzerland, and parts of the Netherlands. By his own count, written down with strange pride in his commentaries on the Gallic War, he killed 1 million Gauls and enslaved 1 million more. The entire population of Gaul, by some modern estimates, dropped by a third. He invaded Britain twice. He crossed the Rhine twice. He fundamentally redrew the map of Western Europe. In 49 before the Common Era, after his political enemies in Rome attempted to strip him of his legions, Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with 1 legion and started a civil war. The next 4 years saw him chase his former ally Pompey across the Mediterranean, defeat him at Pharsalus, follow him to Egypt where Pompey had already been murdered, sleep with Cleopatra, install her as Queen of Egypt, defeat the King of Pontus in a campaign so quick he summarized it with 3 words, Veni Vidi Vici, and crush the last Republican armies in North Africa and Spain. He returned to Rome and made himself dictator for life. He reformed the calendar. He reorganized the Senate. He redistributed public land. He named months after himself and his nephew, Augustus. He had himself declared a god in his own lifetime, a claim Rome had never tolerated before. On the Ides of March, the 15th of March in 44 before the Common Era, 60 Roman senators, including his closest friend Marcus Brutus, surrounded him at the foot of the statue of Pompey and stabbed him 23 times. He died at the age of 55. But his death did not end his empire. It accelerated it. His adopted nephew Octavian, later called Augustus, became the first emperor of Rome and inaugurated a political order that dominated the Mediterranean world for the next 500 years. That was Julius Caesar, the general who killed Gaul and gave Rome its emperors. Born in Antium, Italy, in the year 12 of the Common Era, Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus came into the world the son of one of Rome's most beloved generals. As a small child, he accompanied his father on military campaigns to Germania, wearing a miniature soldier's uniform that the legionaries had specially made for him. The soldiers nicknamed him Caligula, meaning little boots. The name stuck. He hated it. His childhood ended in horror. His father, Germanicus, died, probably poisoned, when Caligula was 7 years old. The paranoid Emperor Tiberius had his mother starved to death in exile. His older brothers were tortured and killed in the imperial prisons. Caligula himself was held as a virtual prisoner at Tiberius's villa on the island of Capri, where, according to ancient sources, he witnessed orgies, executions, and acts of cruelty no child should ever see. In the year 37, Tiberius died, possibly smothered with a pillow by Caligula himself or by his guards. 24-year-old Caligula became emperor. The first 6 months of his rule were extraordinary. He pardoned exiles. He abolished hated taxes. He held lavish public games. The Roman people, exhausted by Tiberius' long paranoid reign, hailed him as the longed-for emperor. Then, in October of that year, he fell gravely ill. Some historians believe he had an attack of epilepsy. Others suspect a brain inflammation. Whatever it was, the man who emerged from his sickbed was not the man who had entered it. He declared himself a living god. He ordered temples built in his own honor. He had the heads of statues of Jupiter and Mars replaced with images of his own face. He carried on an open, incestuous affair with his own sister, Drusilla, then declared her a goddess after her death. He had political rivals sawed in half slowly. He ordered prisoners fed to lions during the public games when the supply of condemned criminals ran low. He forced grieving parents to dine with him minutes after the executions of their sons. He famously declared his favorite horse, Incitatus, a consul of Rome. He gave the horse its own marble stable, a staff of slaves, and invited dignitaries to dine with it. In the year 40, he marched the Roman army to the coast of Gaul, announced he would invade Britain, then ordered his soldiers to gather seashells from the beach as spoils of war. He built a temporary 3-mile-long pontoon bridge across the Bay of Baiae just so he could ride a horse across the sea wearing the breastplate of Alexander the Great. He bankrupted the imperial treasury within 2 years. On January 24th, year 41, 3 officers of the Praetorian Guard ambushed him in a palace corridor and stabbed him 30 times. They then killed his wife Caesonia and dashed his infant daughter's brains against a wall. He was 28 years old. That was Caligula, the emperor who became a god in his own mind. Now let us put these 2 Romans side by side in the wild card. Category 1, body count. Caesar's Gallic Wars killed an estimated 1 million people and enslaved another million. His civil wars killed hundreds of thousands of additional Romans, Egyptians, and North Africans. Caligula, his entire reign killed perhaps a few thousand. The edge is Caesar, by an order of magnitude. Category 2, military reach. Caesar conquered Gaul, invaded Britain, defeated Pompey across 3 continents, and made Egypt a client kingdom. Caligula conquered Seychelles. The edge is Caesar. Category 3, personal madness. Caesar was vain, ambitious, and utterly unrestrained, but he was strategically coherent. Every move he made served a long-term political purpose. Caligula had no long-term purpose at all. He held conversations with the moon. He believed his horse could think. He invaded the sea. The edge in pure madness is Caligula. The edge in coherent menace is Caesar. Category 4. Capacity for greater damage. This is the wildcard category. Caesar was assassinated at the absolute peak of his power, days away from launching a massive military campaign against the Parthian Empire that, if successful, would have extended Roman control all the way to Persia and possibly to India. Given another decade, he could have built the largest empire in human history at that point. Caligula was already collapsing in real time. The treasury was empty. The Senate was plotting. He had less than a year of effective rule left before someone would have killed him regardless of who pulled the trigger. The edge in unrealized capacity, decisively, is Caesar. Category 5. Long-term institutional legacy. Caligula left nothing behind except a cautionary tale. His name became the literal byword for imperial insanity. Caesar left behind the Roman Empire itself, a legal system, a calendar still used by 1 billion people, and a name that became the word for emperor in dozens of languages. Tsar, Kaiser, Tsar. The edge is Caesar by a planet. So the category split 4-1 in favor of Caesar. But categories do not capture everything. Here is the wildcard question. What if Caligula had inherited Caesar's command of the legions? He would have lost them within months. He could not organize a dinner party, let alone a Gallic campaign. He would have been knifed by his own centurions before crossing his first river. Now what if Caesar had been born into Caligula's family situation? Orphaned, isolated, traumatized, raised by Tiberius on Capri, he would have survived it. Caesar was the survivor archetype of the ancient world. He survived Sulla's death lists. He survived pirate capture. He survived political exile. He survived poison plots. He would have outmaneuvered Tiberius, taken the throne in his early 30s, and ruled for 40 years instead of being murdered at 28. Each man's destiny was almost entirely a function of which one had the talent for survival. The verdict is the easiest of the wildcard round. Julius Caesar advances. Caligula is eliminated from the bracket. The decision is not close. Caesar killed more, ruled longer, reshaped more of the world, and was operating at the ceiling of his ability when an assassin caught up with him. Caligula was a comet that burned hot and died fast. He never came close to his ceiling because he had no ceiling. He had only a floor that kept dropping. But here is the part that should disturb you. Caesar is taught in schools as a founding father of Western civilization. His memoirs of slaughtering 1 million Gauls are read by Latin students as elegant examples of prose. Caligula, who killed perhaps a few thousand, is taught as the cautionary tale of imperial insanity. The conqueror who killed more was civilized. The unhinged emperor who killed less was a monster. History, as Caesar himself proved, is written by the survivors. Caesar was the architect of the Western world. Caligula was the cautionary tale Rome told its own children for centuries afterward. Julius Caesar moves on to the round of 16. Caligula joins Nero on the wrong side of history. Next episode, the political wildcard concludes. Ivan the Terrible against Vladimir Lenin. Russia against Russia. Two men who reshaped their country through terror fight to advance.